How big of a cunt must you be? At some point, comics have to make money, don't they? Not really, not as much as you'd think. They are divisions of larger companies who seem to be willing to subsidize them to push propaganda. The retailers do need to profit or switch into anime or selling games or something, but the individual writers and artists seem to be willing to make less money to push propaganda. Some of them are married with their husbands supporting them. For others, working in comics is worth it for the blue checkmark Twitter dopamine. They're there to put it on the resume and hope something better comes along. But from what I've seen, a lot of them are there, number one, for the perceived status of working in comics. It's not even that they have sincerely held beliefs in wokeism. I think that they know that to work in comics, they have to parrot certain talking points. They are left-wing, but they're also 100% going with the crowd on every major issue, or else they'll get canceled. And that's got to be a pain in the butt if you're on the left, to be in lockstep on every issue. And if you're not, you got to keep your mouth shut. You saw what happened to J.K. Rowling. She's a far left whack job, nut job. They think she's a... They literally have threatened to extinguish her from this mortal coil because she had the audacity to state that women are women. If Twitter didn't exist, I don't think these people would care about working in comics. But because of social media, they're willing to take low-paying comic work. The social media footprint can be worth something if it gets the attention of Amazon or Netflix. So it's kind of a calculated risk. But for most of them, they'd be better off just writing fun stories that sold and skip, I'll say, this hatred that they're putting out right now. But they literally can't do that. The reason that all the antagonists are Western European, blonde, blue eyes type of thing, or red, green eyes, is because it's the only group that is allowed to be racially hated. That's where you get such ridiculous storylines where every gang is an English biker gang, or every purse snatcher in a major city has blonde hair. Or what do you call those people who go to airports and they fly on airplanes, but they try to redirect the passage of the plane? Those people. I read a comic where you had two guys in ski masks and gloves at the airport, and a superhero stopped them. They had blonde hair and blue eyes. Are you fucking kidding me? So goddamn retarded. Sorry. Anyway, so it's, if you had anything other than, people of the light, criminals who look like they're out of Aryan or Nordic central casting, you just get fired and blacklisted. It's also why the storylines have shifted to include Second Amendment and First Amendment, peaceful assemblies, and people asking for free speech. How dare they? How dare the peasants revolt? Because that's a way that you can make blonde man the bad guys, because you got a bunch of white people who are asking, hey, what about this Bill of Rights? Maybe we should look into this. The thing is, kids reading comics, once you get past a certain age, you start wondering, why are all the criminals in comics are blonde with blue eyes? So the stories will have Miss Marvel fighting shitlords on the internet, so that way you can make them, white kids. Now, obviously, I have to say this very carefully. In real life, the people of the light don't actually commit an over-representation of these bad acts as they are portrayed to in comics, which is just fairy fantasy land. But that is a hate fact that makes everyone uncomfortable. Facts are such bothersome things sometimes. So comics in specific and the left in general are looking at these useful idiots, Alex de Campi and Chuck Wendig and Mags Visaggio and Heather Antos, on the alt or extreme left, and realizing that they have served their purpose. These alt-leftards know that they can get things done with a Twitter hate mob. Now, what is to stop them going after their coworkers? I would say common courtesy, but they are SJW parasites. They don't see other humans as real. So you've got companies with two hierarchies, actual sales versus Twitter power. but those are not related to each other. Chuck Dixon, for example, can sell because he's talented and he works very hard. Mags Massaggio cannot, but Mags has Twitter support, which doesn't equal sales, but it doesn't matter to the companies, or at least it didn't, because most companies are narrative companies. Not most of these type of companies are not profit driven. They're there to push a narrative. But at some point, and because they're usually subsidized by just being subsidiary companies of larger companies, or where you've got the owners are independently wealthy, or they're, like I said, they're married to someone who's subsidizing their comics habit. It's not. Thing is, when you need something to sell, you're going to get a very good product. But at some point, even woke companies look at people with low sales and people who cause problems, and they start to wonder if they wouldn't be better off just not firing them, just not working with them, which obviously translates into the same thing. Mark Waid is a problem, but he can push millions of dollars a year. Mags is a problem, but grosses a lot less. Kim and Kim by issue 4 grossed $4,000. So comics is starting to thin the herds a bit, something I didn't see coming. I actually assumed that those idiots would take over, but don't get excited. Comics are still unreadably bad, but they're just written by people who are less prone to throw a grenade at their own troops. And to be fair, I think mags could make fun stories, but I think they view comics as a form of therapy. No, dude, that is what actual therapy is for. A commercial enterprise is just giving people what they will pay for, not what they say they want, but what they will give you $4 for. All right, so the Whisper Network, you've got Rich Johnston, is he runs the Bleeding Cool website, which you can give something the best publicity, but it has, like, you can push, I don't know, Mags's or Joe Glass's Pride comic all you want. It's there's got to be something there, and when there's not, like, you flip through a Joe Glass or a Mags, and it's like you just look at it and you're like, this sucks right off the bat. This just sucks. Start sucking and keep sucking. So it's like people who are paying $4 for this kind of stuff. It's like they just like Joe Glass and they want to support his work, and it's like, okay, I get that's fine, but it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's like childishly ridiculous. But the thing is, being exposed to comics from the comics geek perspective is like being exposed to a group of, the comic professionals, quote in quotes, a group of adults who have adult bodies, but they act like children. Bizarre ad hominem personal attacks across every level. Just petulant children holding their breath when they can't get their way. Who, like, at one point it would be inconceivable for people in, well, not exactly their same industry, but in the same office, the same business, to talk about each other, to have public disagreements. If you ask me, would that ever be acceptable? No, are you kidding? For an adult to do that? That's insane. And, like, companies should have more, you should have writers who say, listen, you're all going to get along publicly. You're not going to talk bad about each other. You're not going to have this. I would have some kind of social media policy in effect, not things like, and you're going to have NDAs, like when you leave the company, it's like, you just stop talking about it. You stop talking about your time in this company. Hey, if you're not on board with that, don't work with us. What you have now is you have people who are manipulating their Twitter followers who don't buy the product. It would be one thing if you're like, oh, hey, Gail Simone, she got her Twitter followers all fired up. Well, did they? Yeah, they bought $100,000. It tailed off. But no, they don't do that. They don't do any of that. Comicsgate actually will support their creators. And even bad Comicsgate projects are so much better than the best. There's a Mark Waid comic out now. I think it's called Marvel Snapshots. It's got Captain Marvel on the cover. This is the cover, and let's take a look inside. The second page of the comic is the trans person. I don't know. We all got suspended, Mom. Like, carrying protest signs is some big crime. It's not. That's bull. Trans kids shouldn't have bathroom restrictions. Oh, my first world problems. Why would I want to read about this, Mr. Wade? I don't. Nobody does. Nobody wants to read about this. This is just first world problems. Do you realize, like, people in the rest of the world are like, dear old Biden, please stop bombing us. Please, we're tired of dying. I just lost my family. I just lost 8 of my children because Obama bombed us. Please stop killing us, Obama. Oh, I'm sorry. What's his name? Biden. Whatever. Same thing. Kamala. Kamala was upset because she didn't know that foreign countries are getting bombed, and the joke was, well, did Biden? I don't know. I don't know. I look at his cabinet, and it's like, oh my God, build a bunker. We are so fucked. Anyway, this is comics. Enjoy, I guess. Stay with Comicsgate. Even like all the infighting with Comicsgate, it's like, stick with Comicsgate. It's like you can just stop infighting for like 5 minutes to support each other. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I'll see you next episode.